So around 2005, Bleach was soaring in popularity both in Japan and in North America, where the manga had just started publishing. And disclaimer, I am admittedly not a hardcore fan of Bleach. Not that I don't like the series, I just never got deep into it in the same way I did other manga such as Dragon Ball, Naruto, One Piece, or Yu Yu Hakusho. I am familiar with it as a casual fan though. I would receive American Monthly Shonen Jump magazines, which would feature a few chapters of Bleach in basically every issue. But occasionally the story would skip in order to catch up with the volumes and I'd be a little lost. But otherwise I didn't watch the show regularly and I never went out of my way to buy the manga or play any of the video games. And so the upcoming Rebirth of Souls game had me very interested in what the state of Bleach Gaming was. And to my surprise, there are 9 games on the PlayStation Portable, 7 of which being all from the same Heat the Soul series, and none of them having made it over to North America. Apparently, a new game was released every year from 2005 to 2010, with 1 and 2 actually releasing in the same year. And that's basically through the PSP's entire life cycle, with the PlayStation Vita announced January of the following year. And updated releases is not exactly a novel concept in the fighting game genre, but I'm pretty sure 7 games back to back on the same system is definitely in the upper quartile of fighting game update releases. Street Fighter 2 is the poster child for this release strategy, and even that was only 5 arcade releases. This is more like a King of Fighters territory. So what was going on with these games? For those who don't know, the Heat the Soul series was developed by Aiding, a developer with a solid roster of classic fighting games such as Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Bloody Roar, and also character fighters, fighting games focused around anime properties such as Naruto Clash of the Ninja, Battle Stadium DON, and Inuyasha Feudal Combat. And so it makes sense that publisher Sony would go extra hard in terms of capitalizing on their platform. And in case you couldn't gather, Bleach was officially promoted by Sony, where Bleach definitely had a decent presence on Nintendo systems. It had a really big showing on Sony, as you can see by the 9 games released on the PlayStation Portable and 4 PlayStation 2 games along with it. And many of these games were added to PlayStation's The Best line of games, which is like their equivalent of Nintendo Selects, which makes a lot of sense given the aesthetic of Bleach. It's hard to describe it, but Bleach really embodies the style of PlayStation. I could totally see Ichigo with a PSP in his pocket. It also helps that his voice actor actually played a lot of PSP and was a big gamer. Now, either these games were just insanely popular or they were quick and easy to iterate on. And I imagine it's a combination of both. Even if these games were dirt cheap to develop, no company is going to create 7 of them without some level of net profit. Now, I wouldn't call this style exactly unprecedented. When you think about it, it's kind of similar to the release schedule of Dragon Ball Z Budokai, whose developer Dimps produced 8 games. Budokai 1, 2, and 3, Shin Budokai 1 and 2, Infinite World, Burst Limit, and if you're really stretching it, Evolution. And that was over the span of 7 years. Though there's a lot of variety between the different systems. It spanned the PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable, and eventually the PlayStation 3. My biggest question is, why didn't these games ever hit North American shelves? They had a lot going for them. They're full, great looking fighting games from an anime series that was catching on like wildfire. You could argue that across nearly every release, the games were further ahead than the anime in North America currently was. Even in Japan, these games were on the cusp of catching up on the main series apparently, and characters who weren't even cast yet for the dub would be appearing and causing all sorts of logistical nightmares for whoever is doing the dubbing. And the total number of character voices to dub may have just been a task not worthwhile at the time. But then also, why did the Nintendo DS get 3 of its Bleach games localized? Was the audience for Bleach really rallying around the DS in North America? Was the cost of localization much cheaper, or did the stipulations of Bleach's PlayStation partnership limit what could be done? I guess we'll never know. It is a good thing for fans that the Nintendo DS and PSP weren't region locked, which made importing easier, and not gonna lie, I can understand why a fan today, or even back in the day, might have wanted to collect all 9 of these games. The covers on these are really cool, even though Heat the Soul 6 and 7 kind of break the standard. For the sake of this video, I'm only going to be playing Heat the Soul 1, 4, and 7 just to see how the games progress. Heat the Soul 1 doesn't look bad for a 2005 near launch PlayStation Portable game. Keep in mind, even though I do have a PSP and a PlayStation Vita that could play these games, I am recording gameplay through an emulator, so not exactly a one-to-one representation of the actual game. But even with that, I can glean that the game's solid art style and visuals would have looked nice on, a PSP. Problem is, there's only 6 characters, and that's pitiful even by fighting game standards. Street Fighter 2 back in 1991 had 8 characters, and I imagine this game was meant to just get out as soon as possible, mainly trying to capture that early market of anime character fighters for the just released PlayStation Portable over in Japan. There is a story mode which functions a little bit like an arcade mode, but it's super short, not really any kind of useful for an importer unless you just like watching slightly animated JPEGs talk to each other, and it just ends with Ichigo's first fight against Renji, so not the most dramatic ending either, though in fairness the Bleach anime would have only just made it to that fight a month before this game was released. Overall, in my opinion, there's literally no reason to go play Heat 1, knowing that the next 6 games would just improve on the content by a lot. Now, outside of just being the middle game in the series, I was recommended to play Heat the Soul 4 for its 60 frames per second gameplay. And look, I'm not a stickler for frame rate, but I definitely prefer it in most fighting games, and it definitely makes a difference in terms of playability. Like, just from a control perspective, this game feels so good, dude. I will admit the main menu is kind of bare bones and lacking, very boring, even compared to Heat the Soul 1, which had me scared when I turned this game on. But the battle UI is cleaner and not too cramped, so I'll give it that. Here we're at 51 total playable characters, which is a massive jump from the 6 characters we got from Heat 1. The main mode here is Character Master, where you can level up your character through a series of battles. It's not the most enthralling campaign mode, but it's fairly worth it given just the massive amount of playable characters. Just know that this will be the majority of your entertainment, collecting new characters. Not gonna lie, I think Heat the Soul 4 is up on the list just for the frame rate. It's a shallow reason to recommend the game, but having that option is cool. Now, Heat the Soul 7, this time we've got a total of 81 characters. In the same way I complained about Heat 1 having only 6 characters, 7 having 81 total playable characters is just, it's absurd. Not quite to the level of, say, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, where every character feels like they play insanely different, but it's still insane. We're back to a story mode with this game, but we also have a conquest mode and just a regular arcade mode. So there's a fair amount to do while you're playing, which is honestly great. There should be some variety when it comes to unlocking characters and all that for games like these. I wish this game kept the 60 frames per second unlocked frame rate of Heat 4, especially with this being considered by some to be the definitive game in the series, just by virtue of how many characters it has. And I can't help but think that this game looks somewhat worse than Heat 4. Maybe I'm crazy, maybe my emulator's acting up. It also apparently has a 4-player battle mode. It's not fun, but it is there. The only thing this game is really missing is guides. I understand how much of an undertaking that might be, but I'd say the game is as importer friendly. There are save files out there for gamers who just want to have all 81 characters unlocked from the start, which helps out, but if you're trying to play this with the guide, you might have some trouble. Overall though, I think the Heat the Soul games are an interesting experiment, and I think I'll call them that. 7 games back to back is going to be a challenge for any game developer, much less the task of trying to convince consumers to buy these games, but they seem to have made it work. I didn't talk about the other 2 PSP games from the Soul Carnival series, and that's because I think they warrant their own videos. And if you've played these Heat the Soul games, let me know which of these games is the best in the series. I genuinely have no idea, just because there's so many of these that I haven't even played yet. If you want to see me talk more about imports like this game, let me know by liking this video and subscribing. Would definitely love to talk more about these. I actually did a video on a Japan exclusive One Piece game not too long ago that a lot of people seem to like. But anyways, thanks for watching and bye.